How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of You Win or You Learn. I am Dylan Haskin. So I'm quite excited about this episode because this is the first time that I'm interviewing somebody that I don't know, for one. Everyone else before this has sort of been in my network. And also, this is not a videographer or photographer, which I've also previously done, again, because most of those people are in my network and it was easy to reach out to them in the beginning. So in this episode, I'm talking with Simon and Tammy from the RoofPod. So the RoofPod is a rooftop tent and it is one of the lightest ones that you can get. They are manufactured here in South Africa. They started about 3 years ago, so they're still new in business, but they've been growing really well. I don't want to say too much about what's coming, but I'm sure you guys will enjoy this episode and have lots to learn from Simon and Tammy.
We're Simon and Tammy. We're from the RoofPod. We are married. We own the business together, and we started it about 3.5, nearly 4 years ago. And yeah, we launched the lightest rooftop tent in the world, basically.
Yeah, that's very cool. Tell me, when you guys began this, okay, maybe let's go to the story of how you started RoofPod. Like, where did you think of the idea? How did you come up with it?
We enjoy getting out. So we spend a lot of time on the road doing trips. When I say out, I'm meaning holidays with the family or even on our own. I mean, I travel also with a bunch of mates and we do trips. And so you start to think about the products you're using and how they could be improved. And we were always in a situation where we couldn't really afford to buy the top end stuff. So I thought, well, I'm quite practical with my hands. Maybe during lockdown, we had the opportunity and time wise. So I thought I'll just make my own. I wanted a rooftop tent. So I built one in my garage.
Yeah, let's preface that a bit though. We had an events business for 16 years doing dance floors for weddings, shows, events. And we set up for the Absa Cape Epic and the presidential speech at the UCT in 2021. And we spent 2 days setting up over 3,500 square meters of flooring, and my guys left, and 15 minutes later I get a phone call saying, President's making an announcement tonight. Please come remove all your flooring. Events are cancelled. And we lost 17 years of business gone. We were the first industry shut in COVID, and we were the last industry to open. So the first 5 weeks of the COVID holiday was when Simon was like, oh, well, I want a rooftop tent, so let's build one in lockdown. So we built this most beautiful wooden hard shell rooftop tent that you had followed from a guy in the States who'd done a step-by-step build. And it weighs about 80 kilograms. And from there, it was like, well, we're very lazy campers. We don't plan very well. So we want something lighter that doesn't take 2 hours to put on your vehicle. And Simon started researching what were lightweight rooftop tents out there, and there wasn't very much on the market, and didn't have any work, and decided to take that time and play. And so about 7 months of playing in our friend's garage, because we had to rent out our house to survive. And that's how RoofPod started.
Sure. The rooftops themselves, you guys have a few different options. Do you want to just talk about sort of what the current product range is that you guys have?
We have, we just recently launched the third model out of what we do. So we have 3 models now. We have we call it the Comfy, which is the biggest one, which is about 1.3 meters wide on the inside, nearly 1.4 on the outside. And then we have a middle-sized one, we call it the Cozy. That's 1.2 meters on the inside. I mean, you can sort of equate that to a 3/4 size mattress. And then we have a Solo, which is much like a single mattress size.
First one launched in the world.
Yeah.
I've never seen a rooftop tent that's just made for one person.
Yeah. It's
so many guys, so many people go off and they do trips, they do events, and they're on their own. They don't want to use their full roof rack. They'd like to have space. And so we thought, well, why not? So we applied what we'd done to the other 2 tents and put it in for the Solo. And it weighs under 30 kilograms. It's a really cool product.
So with rooftop tents specifically, obviously being up on the roof, the weight is important. A lot of rooftop tents I've seen are extremely heavy. You guys going for the lightest option or a very lightweight sort of as the main focus. What was the reason why you wanted to go in like a lightweight way? And what are the benefits for the customer having a lighter tent, say, than a heavier?
If I can answer that, I see these cars driving around on the roads with these rooftop tents bolted to the car. And a lot of the people who have purchased them don't necessarily use them that often. They might go on holiday, let's say if they're lucky, once a month. If that, I mean, some people not. But you're carrying, like, in essence, with those tents, you're carrying, 70, 80, 90 kilograms around wherever you drive, to the shops and dropping the kids off and to go do your business stuff, carrying all this load on the car, putting wear and tear on your tires, wear and tear on your brakes, wear and tear on the windage, and wear and tear on your product on your car. And it just didn't really make sense to me. I was like, surely there's another way, you can do this. So I want something that is really light, to be able to take on and off the car easily. We've got a quick release bracket system so that you can remove it after your trip, put it back on for your next trip. The other thing that a heavy tent really is, can issue is the road holding, the way the car handles on the road. And what a lot of people have to do to compensate, they've got to spend another fortune on adapting their suspension system of the car to handle all this load. We kind of just coming in and finding another way to do it, really.
Yeah, because our vehicles are stock. We, like what you and I discussed, we don't have huge lifted vehicles. We haven't gone the other way completely. And we sort of thought that there's got to be a market for the everyday person, the guys who have the station wagon and the Polo and, the vehicles that they want to be able to get out as well, who've got 2 bars and can now put a rooftop tent on their car. Not everybody wants to 4x4 and overland, So it was finding that niche market that now makes it slightly more accessible for almost absolutely everybody. And you can get home and you and I, Dylan, can actually take the rooftop tent off our car, store it against the wall, carry on driving. And it takes 5 minutes. So that was the sort of the niche that we were aiming for. But then also, we're not undermining the role that some of the epic products have that are hardcore and, you can put tires on top. If you're going to do that, that's not our product. But what we wanted is something that was quick, easy, accessible, but also makes camping easy. So you can fit all your bedding inside, you can put your pillows inside, you can put your ladder in. It's not taking space on anything else. You're actually able to get your camp set up, everything comfortable-wise is in there, and good to go.
Super cool. I think you guys are the first company in this space that I've seen who have used other cars as marketing things, like a Polo, like you said.
Yeah.
And obviously to show that, but that is your customers who are actually buying that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is very cool.
Yeah. And I think especially post-COVID, everybody is now out camping. I mean, if you've seen the amount of campsites that are full. I mean, we took a RoofPod road trip with our clients a couple of weeks ago, and I'm so used to just going to Cedarburg, hey, we'll book, it's not school holidays, it's fine. It was full. I couldn't get bookings in 2 of the major campsites because people are all getting out now, which is amazing.
Yeah, it is very cool. What have been some of the challenges for you guys bringing a new product into market in South Africa?
Can I answer this? I think the difference with us is that we didn't have a dream of a product and then try to launch it and educate people because we think you needed it. We did it for ourselves. And we never thought we would start a rooftop tent company. So we did one for ourselves. We showed family and friends. They were like, we love this. Can we show other family and friends? And we got such an amazing response from that, and because our other business hadn't started and we were looking at something that was an alternative, we went, hang on, there's something here that we've gotten. So I don't know if that's sort of answered. So we didn't have something that we went, here, this is your answer. We had something that people went, we love that. It's our answer. And I think that helps or sort of changes business a bit because you're not starting from a point of try to sell your product to people going, please pick us. We've taken it and people have gone, we want that. But that doesn't mean we don't have a lot of issues.
Yeah, I mean, one of our challenges is that we found along the way is that neither of us are business people as such. I'm a creative, and Tam is great with marketing and people, and admin related things as well. And that's our two strengths. Growing a business, that has been a challenge for us. So starting out with a proper business plan, with correct foresight. We've had a lot of friends and family who have fortunately allowed us to consult them. And whether they bring us to someone else they know who we can consult. And we've been really open about reading our cards with people like that so that we can try and glean as much information as we can about how to grow this thing. But that's been a big challenge. So what that's done is made that it's been a very slow progress in growing this thing. It does have its pros as well in growing slowly, but at the same time, it's made it tricky for us in how to be systematic and how to be vision focused, how to know where to push and where not to, how to manage our finances. That's been a challenge.
Because we didn't plan and launch a business planning on the business, if I could say that.
Yes.
So, but on the side of it being a slow growth, it also enabled us to get feedback from clients. We didn't launch a product that then had major issues because it gets used, and you've now got to recall. We've had a product that you've put out slowly and had feedback from people and been able to change it. And which is on the other side with that slow growth has given us a good name because we are, approachable, we fix things, we help solve any issues that we've had. We have, gone above and beyond because it's on a smaller growth curve at the time, if I could say that, till we got to the point now where, your product is fully developed and you've now got add-ons and different additions. But we have had to both work. I've worked another job. We've Airbnb'd our house. We have taken on extra jobs. We're still working our other business. So cash flow as a small business is definitely our main issue because we launched it from nothing. How would you?
I think it's exactly that. I think any small business growing is one of the most important hurdles to overcome is funding in the initial startup phase and cash flow thereof. And even with us at 3.5 years now, we're still facing this problem. And there's always a growth curve. And I had this vision when I started this thing, early on, I thought, oh, you know what? If I mark this up to the appropriate markup value that everyone recommends, that profit margin, wow, that goes straight into our kitty. And that's great profits. I thought fantastic. But what I didn't foresee was how important it is to rechannel income into growing your business. So you don't see that money as something that you can live on. That is, the business is hungry for that. It's like a baby needing to be fed from a bottle, and that money is going into that bottle. You know what I mean?
So we substituted on our own personal side on other ways, so.
That's interesting. So you guys have it's a very organic growth way that it's grown in the sense that you made something for yourself, other people liked it, and then you're like, hey, we can also make that for you. Was there a pivotal moment that happened that you were like, ooh, we're actually going to make this into a thing? Or were you first just making for friends and they were just
It was so slow, this progress, that there was no big moment where you went, oh, you know what, now we can do all these other things. It was like, okay, and the biggest demand at the time was people wanted an awning. And it kind of was like kind of logical kind of thing. Yes, sure, we must do an awning. So we started working on an awning. And that process also takes a lot of time. Again, another challenge for us. A lot of time when you don't have all the tooling at your disposal, you don't have a full workshop and full skill set. You got to learn it all. You got to find suppliers in the industry for that new add-on that you want to create, and you got to spend time, R&Ding. You got to have time to figure out where its weaknesses are and improve them.
Yeah, so that's launching other products. But I think if we go back to Lynn's question of when did we take it as a hobby into when are we going to launch this as a business? And I think it was, we'd sort of had a few friends buy in and buy our product. So what we were quite lucky is that they would buy the one and then we'd make that and do the change. Then we'd sell the next one. And a cousin of ours had shown it to a friend of his who is Luke Pedersen from Pedersen and Leonard. And they're an amazing furniture company. And Luke messaged me on Instagram and he said, look, hey, I've seen your product. I think it needs just a tweak to go from a homemade to an epic product. So we took it in for him to see because I posted a few on Instagram. And and they came on board and helped design gutters and runners. And because, I mean, Simon's an engineer, he does things from a practical design point. But so they helped us get it to suddenly something that we were like, wow, this could actually be sold. And they were like, you've got something here. So, and another company, which I can't name, also I showed the owner and he was like, this is pretty darn epic, guys. You should take it further. And we suddenly realized that Instant Flooring, our previous business, wasn't going to regenerate anytime soon. And we were driving on a road trip back from Plet and we were like, actually, you know what? This has got something and we can choose to try it out. And let's do it, because Simon had the time and we had the connections and it wasn't going to cost us anything, but it does cost. It costs in your own personal investment. It costs in your own time. I think it costed a lot more than we early thought it would, but we know the long-term effect, or not effect, what's the word I'm looking for?
Benefits.
Like we could see the where it could go. And we'd hit on something I think that is pretty truly awesome. But also we love the people, we love the industry, and that's been a win-win for us. So it's been a great environment to be involved in. And then, I think on another side for us where we've been very lucky compared to a lot of startups is that we've done no marketing. And I know that's, I think, a big thing when people start up, is that our clients are marketing. And we've had people who've bought into the RoofPod have bought into the whole vision, our story, being a part of it. I mean, I can name loads of our clients who are just beautiful stories and part of our story because they've extended our story, if I could say that. And that's where we've been very, 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 very lucky.
So from my side, being outside and being in the marketing space and like looking at what you guys have done, and I think I messaged you maybe last year sometime because I noticed you guys coming up and I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing. And obviously I have an interest in that industry just because I like 4x4ing and camping and all those type of things. But what I feel like you guys have done really, really well, and it might feel like you haven't done your own marketing, but you have. Yeah. You've obviously, like leveraged your community. Yeah. But the fact that you've been able to build a community is really hard, I feel like. And it's like a really cool thing that you guys have been able to do, is to build that community and to it's not that you're having their market for you, but they're willing to. That's what I'm saying. They're like part of our story. Yeah, exactly. And I don't take that lightly. You know, for me, to be able to sew back into our community is why we now do these RoofPod road trips, to be able to adventure with our clients, because everybody who has come to see us at the warehouse and chatted to us, and I mean, I do every WhatsApp chat with clients, and I mean, I know I probably won't be able to do that as we get bigger, but it's the foundation of who we are, and the business model we've launched is a very, very personable one, and one that I think makes it very accessible, makes us very accessible, makes the product very accessible, is that, you know, we don't take people buying into it lightly. Yeah. I think we're truly humbled every time somebody chooses us. Yeah. So like our business, we do like marketing and those type of things, and we often I find myself trying to convince clients who don't see the value of building community or of even leveraging social media to do it. Yeah. And I think that's what I mean is what you guys have done like so well, is you've done that without any help. And you've done that like really, really well. Especially Instagram. I think is Instagram your like main.
It's our main thing.
That's the main thing. Yeah. Tammy does all the Instagram and she's really on it. I think it's amazing how you keep that rolling so well. Yeah. But it's also again community driven. So a lot of the material we receive from our clients we feed back into our social reels,
which then creates that community again. That
people feel like they're part of something.
They're part of our story.
Yeah. Yes. Which is I think out of that, you know, I think people primarily, when they think of starting up a business in the beginning, would think they're motivated either by a need for increasing their spending ability or increasing their financial footprint, whatever it might be, finance driven usually. And as we've gone down this journey, we've realized that that should not be the emphasis when growing a small business. I feel like it's actually what's more important is people. It's the people, and it's not just your clients. It's your community that you are working with, whether it be your suppliers, or your clientele. It's all together. It's people that you're working with on a day-to-day basis that you are impacting, and they're impacting you in a very positive manner. And you're kind of building this. I think of it as like a fishing net, like all bound together. And you're part of that, and it's like you're playing a really important role. And I think that's when you should start shifting your mindset and going, hang on, it's about this that is really important than just the bottom line and watching those numbers. Yes, you need to in business, but I think
you can lose, like clients, if they hadn't felt that personal side, could have chosen another product over us because, maybe they did, being a part of the community. And I think just that personableness is what has grown and caused us to have that foundation. So I totally agree with that, because we could have been chasing the bottom line and money and just been,
we would probably said this is not doing great for us, like a long time ago.
Like on that side, or actually you then lose your clients or somebody who would have purchased in on a company that didn't have a big footprint, hadn't proved itself yet. So that's definitely very important.
How do things work at the moment with your business? It's the two of you working, and then you have a warehouse, or what does that sort of situation look like?
Again, a bit of a story. We started out in a friend's garage, and just building and designing and things. And then we moved home and we went to our own garage.
First 50 Simon built by himself in his garage.
Probably about 50, yeah. And then we managed to move into a small little warehouse. And again, it was still me building. And then we took on one guy and assisted. And then there's a growth curve. So now we got 3 permanent staff members who are working full time in that warehouse. Kind of a welder and 2 frontline builders who then we have Tammy and myself who are I'm usually on the road actually dealing with my suppliers and making sure the guys are supplied with everything they need, and then watching, of course, the quality of what they're doing and being at the warehouse as much as possible. And Tam is doing a lot of I
do the production side, the ordering of like canvases and all of that kind of thing. But what we've had to do as a small business and not having any startup capital. So we had basically no startup capital at all. So we couldn't just go, we're starting a factory. Let's put the staff in, let's put the product in. It's been, you buy 2, you make 3, you buy 3, you make 4, that kind of thing, which means we outsource quite a lot. So we can keep the production team itself still a lot smaller. So our overheads on us isn't as heavy. And we then get, our powder is out, canvas is outsourced, all of that. And then we just assemble in-house.
You build the frames, of course, and a lot of the components. But
so it comes in, goes out, comes in, and so there's processes that way. But obviously in the pipeline, and hopefully not too far, you then start to bring that in-house, and your team gets bigger as you grow it a little bit more.
Yeah. At the moment, do you make before people have ordered, or are you doing it per order, or how do you guys manage
that? No, we do. So now I make generally, if I have like 5 on order, we'll be making up to 10. But by the time the 10 are in production, I've sold them and we're already making the next lot. So I maybe get to sit with 1 in stock, but it doesn't sit for long. Like, we're very lucky that our stock moves very quickly.
Very seldom sits. In fact, I don't think it ever has sat.
No, and we're also very lucky because our production turnaround time, which also is quite different to a lot of companies, can be quite quick, because I keep looking at the growth and just preempting it. If I say it's a bit of a learning curve on some of it, especially as the months, you're sort of watching like previous year and sort of hoping that it's something along that line.
Yes.
But not always.
Yeah, because like we didn't know voting months have a definite impact.
Oh, yes.
Starting a business, voting every 4 years, don't plan for much in that month.
It's interesting, hey, how that makes a huge
It was
impact.
one of our best months last year was May, this year.
Absolutely.
So you
quite.
preempted on that plus and then got that minus.
Sure.
But then June, July was then a bit better. But so that's sort of how we're running at the moment.
Do you do only local at the moment, or are you doing any shipping outside, or not really?
No. Definitely local. We have interest overseas. That's another small business problem, is that you don't have enough to fill a container, but you got guys who are interested in the singles. I've tried to reach out to companies that are shipping product to see if I could sort of put a tent in, 1 or 2 for clients.
Container sharing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's been one of our big issues, because I get requests literally every week from one here, one there, especially for the new solo pod, because Europe, Australia, all of those are very stringent on the weight limits on the top of cars. And this is one of the first tents that the Jimny can have under the weight of their 30 kilo limit. So I haven't been able to meet clients' needs for overseas yet, but that's hopefully a future solve.
But we're grateful too. I mean, if we had somehow had a connection that said, listen, we'll take a container, when our product actually really wasn't ready for mass production.
We would have gone under.
If like a little issue, whatever it might be, we would have had to return the entire batch rather than just doing a quick fix, for a one-off situation. I think that's now it's duplicated from 1 to 30 or 40, whatever it is.
Yeah, like, okay, for example, I mean, so when we did the first 5, a company called Camp Cover makes our canvas. They do a lot of canvas, and they're a very reputable company. But the other tent company that they make they put binding on the bottom of the doors. So they were like, well, this is how we've done it for them. Would you like us to do it for you? Like, they stitched at the bottom. We were like, yeah, sure, that looks great. Didn't realize that our product, because we don't have side awnings off the side, the water then seeps into that binding and then comes onto your mattress. So that we only got back with feedback once you'd made them and solved. And the clients are like, hey, this is, and then we could recall and fix and solve. Now imagine we'd done that
and that only happens if they happen to be camping in the rain.
At that time.
And that could take a few months before that happens. And
It's a whole
Exactly, because
time
we've done
cycle.
it like under so I would definitely say that if you have a product that is new, slow growth, even though sometimes, I mean, we were very scared when we first launched, because it was something completely different, that we would be copied and put out before we could even establish ourselves, which again then goes to the rapport you build with your community, the name you put out there. The people have the belief in who you are and the product that you're offering, and the service and the word of mouth that comes back because you've been with integrity and you've dealt with your customers and you've gone above and beyond. And it sort of costs. It does cost.
Yeah,
and
it does.
So that's why we're very grateful we didn't, because we had interest from Australia and they shipped out, and then that fell through. And I mean, I just think that, oh my word, if we had shipped out a container or 2, we wouldn't have been able to financially step up to the issues that maybe could have had.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I mean, it can be very tempting if the ball's rolling. To be like, oh, let's go.
Yeah, cash in. Yeah, I mean, I think the right way to approach it is to grow from where you're at in terms of geographically. Grow where you're focused. I mean, depending on the product you're using, of course, every product is different and sometimes might pinpoint a different geographic group than with us. We could grow Western Cape and get strong with Western Cape and then start to move into the other provinces of our country. And I think we're still focusing on that. We still would love to now be able to go, okay, we've got an outlet in Gauteng, an outlet in Natal, an outlet in, Mpumalanga, wherever it might be. So, yeah.
But you see, this is where we now got to learn, because I find that when we've done that, nobody sells a tent better than I do, or Simon does, because they can feel that belief within yourself. So we've got guys with tents everywhere else, but they don't sell nearly like we do, because you can feel the truth of your story, if I could say that. You feel the, what's the word, that integral belief in your product comes from, because it's ours, yes. Which then I think goes into, would probably now need to do the marketing for those provinces, because I can't be there and I can't sell my product to every single person. So that's what we've now got to start looking at with that growth curve.
Yeah. I think, again, another challenge with doing that growth, and particularly when you start dealing with other outlets, whether they be other little, retailers, or in our case, fitment centers, or whatever it might be. One of the challenges is in your pricing, you want to always be relevant, of course, and hopefully seen as affordable in relation to the market and the competing market. But you always need a margin for your retailers. And that's another challenge for us, is, sometimes you're bound by what the real costs are, and versus the volumetric, with anything, the more you can buy, the cheaper your components are. And so when you don't have a funding house that is behind you, that can say, just go for it, just, go and buy, 400 units rather than 5, then that immediately impacts the margins you can give your suppliers. Your retailers, and it's a fine line how to walk it and get on it financially. It's we're getting there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's obviously very different to our business, because we don't have a product in that sense. We're more like a service provider.
Selling
time, and a product in the sense of how our service performs is maybe the product, but not having a physical product. And I've always had this curiosity in like how it would be to do that, and the challenges around it. Has it been, you kind of spoke a little bit about it, sort of outsourcing, or that handing over certain things that you would normally do to someone else that maybe isn't doing it how you would do it. Has that been a challenge?
In which way?
So say, I'm not sure if there's been things that you like used to do when you were busy, like making it, or that now someone else does, that you kind of still like, oh, they're not doing it how I would do it. Kind of detail.
No, well, we only have a small team at the moment, and they've been with us for, we haven't had a big staff turnover. They've been with us since we started. So I don't have this thing where I have like a team in Joburg or a team in Durban or Natal where they're disjointed from me. So I'm there every day. I'm popping in and keeping an eye on their work. Yes, of course they do make mistakes. And the whole thing is to catch up mistake in time, and to improve upon it and give them a system that they don't do it again. So whether it be improving the templates they're working on or whatever it might be, so they can do their job more easily without making those mistakes.
But I think what I would say is that if we can bring things in-house, then that does help you to have a little bit more control on things. So we struggle with being able to implement change, I think, is probably our biggest time constraint as such, if I could say, because let's say like we're outsourcing our canvas, and if we figured out that we would prefer to change from Velcro to clip, where we can, if we had it in-house, we could probably then just do that change, where because we're part of a system there, you've then got to go and have a meeting, and from the meeting they then do a sample. From the sample you then sign off, and from sign off it's in 6 to 8 weeks for production. So change takes 3 to 5 months, where if you had it in-house, it would then be
for the next run.
And so I think that's, if we could have more control on that side, that would be better for the business. But then you've got more risk, more staff, more time, all of that. So you've got to outweigh the two for where you are in your business at that time.
Yeah. What is your guys' background with running businesses? So this isn't your first one, you mentioned that.
Not our
No,
first
it's not our
rodeo.
first one.
Yeah.
No.
Not your first rodeo.
So we've just been very lucky to stumble into businesses. So we had a flooring business before, because Simon worked as an audiovisual tech in the hotels.
Okay.
And saw a gap. Simon's very good at finding a gap or seeing entrepreneurial, if I could say, or seeing a niche in a market. And that's how we started dance floors. I mean, it wasn't something you sort of thought, oh, yes. It was that the conferencing had no dance floors, that we sold our first apartment and imported them from America and started doing dance floors. I worked for Hilton Wiener in fashion, doing clothing and production. So that has helped the production side for our business. But I think what we've learned from that business is that we worked to live. We didn't live to work. So we just thought it just carried on, if I could say that. So we probably didn't put away for a rainy day as much. We traveled an awful lot. You'd find us cycling in the middle of the workday.
Leaving our staff to do their thing and being very trusting on our staff.
So we've learned a lot from, and I think that has set us up for probably changing and running this one very, very differently. So our time, we are very much involved in this a lot more. We are on the ball with everything. So I'd say that was a learning business.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is our living.
How long was that one going for?
17 years.
17 years. Okay.
So we still got it on the sideline. It's a lot smaller now. We had the biggest flooring business in the Western Cape. We had thousands of square meters and things. So it just sort of generated rental as a great business model.
It just kind of just self-grew and just kind of self-managed in a way. It's just kind of,
So
there's massive demand for it at the time, and it just did its thing.
Yeah, so we definitely have used those lessons to implement different base routes in this one. But we find that our lack of business is probably now needing guidance, because it's fine while you are a startup and playing, if I could say that. There's not as much impact, or like you can't destroy, there's nothing you can really do. You're playing with it. It's, it's growing. It's fluid, if I could say that. Where now with it getting bigger, now you've got staff and you've got production and you've got, things for the business. Like we probably do need, I find the lack of business background, like proper business background, we're feeling, especially with such a high production company. It was fine with rental because you just purchased more stock to do jobs or rent it in.
Simple.
Where there's so many parts. And I think that's the conversation Simon and I have a lot at the moment is you don't want to make the wrong decision because of your lack of...
Or your naivety.
I think I'd probably say that. So as we're growing, that's one side that we not desperately, I would probably say, earnestly are looking and chatting to people and getting feedback, and to make sure that we don't make silly mistakes just because we don't know any better.
Yeah, I think there's like a fine line between those lessons we learn ourselves along the way and ones that potentially could be avoided. I mean, obviously, any mistake, I suppose, could be avoided in like retrospect.
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. But it's fine when it's small and it's fun and it's like a hobby as such. So I would probably say RoofPod in the first year was a hobby with the possibility of being a sideline. And now it's suddenly become from a sideline to something that is growing exponentially quite a lot faster. And we're suddenly going, now you need skills to make sure that you don't make those mistakes, which could have huge ramifications for something in the future of the business.
Yeah.
So
you briefly touched on something, Nana, with about leaving previously sort of trusting staff, and not that that's wrong, but that it's risky sometimes, what sort of advice would you give, say, someone like me? So we have like staff too. There's a fine line between being over controlling when it needs to be like this because I say so, or it needs to be like this because that's what the client needs, and that sort of space, but then also giving people space to
grow.
And to be creative
and to want exactly. So how have you managed that kind of thing? Even if this is within both of your businesses or just experience around that would be.
So there's a fine line between your friend and being your boss.
Yeah.
Okay, and we've been, like I've said, I think we've tried to make it that it's a good environment, but there's that very thin line of stepping over it to being too lax. And so we've definitely learnt with like staff taking things for granted or like, how would I say it?
You know what? Sorry.
Yeah, go.
I think it's human nature that just even as you think of yourself as a child and your dad is now, out at the shops, and even though he said, don't touch the cornflakes on the table, they're only for breakfast. There's this thing of temptation that if your dad goes to the shops every single day over 4 days and he's never there, and there are things sitting there on the counter and you're drooling, looking at these cornflakes, eventually the little hand's going to open the lid and in goes the hand, and dad's not going to notice because I've only taken 3 and I'm going to put those cornflakes in my bowl and quickly eat them. And then eventually the next day you take 5 and then 10 and then 20 and eventually I think it's human nature. And I think what you want to be is preempt that.
Never give the opportunity.
That never get the opportunity. So in other words, put things into place with your staff that they know that they don't actually have that. Even if you're not present, we have so much tech available. Cameras. I know people go, I don't only watch by camera. It's actually the norm now. Every warehouse has a camera and you let them know they're being watched. It just stops that temptation. And then again, like whether it be trying to manage their hours, well, put a system in place where they have to clock in and that's just what it is. Put your thumbprint on that reader, come in, you're clocked in, you're clocking out.
You're sort of like, we're trying to start at 8:30. Hey guys, we're trusting and it's nice. But actually, you know what? It gets a little bit lax as it's going. So that's exactly, we've just sort of said, time in, time out. We're trusting, but there is consequences. We are going to check. Or, so it's just removing the possibility of having issues. Because, again, we learned from our previous business where, for example, we were like, our flooring, where's the guard? And the guy was like, no, it's been cleaned around the back. He had sold it to somebody next door and we'd never picked it up until the guy was like, hey, can you want to buy your flooring back? And we were like, hang on, what? No, your guy sold it to me on the sideline. Where if we'd had a camera there or Simon had been checking in every day and been a lot more present, he would never had that opportunity. So I think it also depends on the tier level of your staffing. We obviously haven't got to the point where we've got, guys running media departments. But it's just trying
and I think syndicates also can build out of that. So it can start with some little instant move. And then next thing you know, because you have 4 or 5 staff members, there can be a payoff scheme where this guy pays, I'll give you, one of those cornflakes out of the 5 I'm taking if you keep quiet. Whereas if you put things in place again, where you have a manager who's there all the time, if you can't be there all the time, and then he needs to be motivated to communicate with you, whatever that means, because everyone's different, to make sure there's this open communication channels that you know about as soon as there's any kind of a situation or something that's fishy going on, rather than just staying quiet. And if it stays quiet, then it's going to keep going. So yeah, we've learned those lessons, and we still have. I always drive for because our clientele come into our workspace. Anybody wants a nice vibe in their workspace. You want to know that your staff are enjoying their work, that they are in a good state of mind, that they're a healthy emotional state of mind. So we do try and push that, but at the same time, there is a sense of accountability. So we hold them accountable, and we have like regular meetings with our manager, if you want to call him that, so that he can. And it's amazing how when you do have those regular meetings, that only during those meetings do they, like halfway through, they go, oh, and by the way, I noticed this or noticed that. They need that space to be able to relay stuff to you, that, formal space, because they will often forget or just get distracted with other things. And then next thing you know, things are happening.
Yeah. Does that answer it?
Yeah.
Semi.
Systems.
Yeah.
Have like systems in place.
Yeah.
I guess for us, it's not really, because we don't have like a stock situation where things could be, but maybe time would be more the thing that can be
checking in.
checking in and that like balancing between handing over responsibility and empowering people versus like overwatching the whole time and like, hey, what you doing now? Hey, what you doing now?
Yeah.
Hey, what you doing
It's
now?
like, hey, do this project. Just please send me a pre-clip or whatever, just so I can check it and help you.
Yes.
You know, it's that whole semi-wording of like, I'm empowering you, but hey, let me help you if it's might need a little bit of help.
Yeah.
We also we'll watch out for, we call it the clipboard mentality.
Okay.
We're very careful about when you give responsibility to a staff member, as opposed to just simply giving them a job description. As soon as a staff member we find has that like, well, I'm the clipboard holder, it can mess with whole psyche in your workspace.
I'm now responsible. So you guys have to listen to me.
No, you guys. You're going to do more work than I am because I'm going to be watching you. I'm just going to tick these boxes, as opposed to I'm in on this team. I'm part of this team. I'm going to just load wherever there is a need for it. It's like, oh no, I'm divorced from that because I hold the clipboard. So we're very careful about how we go, well, now you're the manager of this line or this only you're only dealing with that. Therefore, those guys must all help you, and you're going to just sort of make sure they get their job. Very people want to very quickly jump onto this thing of like, I'm a manager. You know what I mean? Like it's important.
Or I'm the project. Like I'm leading. You guys must do the work.
As opposed to I'm part of a team.
Yes. Yeah. So it is. Yeah. It's about building that sense of the team and stuff. Yeah.
For efficiency in your workspace. Yeah.
Yeah.
And begrudgment as well, because I mean, again, like people that were once working alongside you now are being treated as though they're still just a worker, and you now, and they're saying like, hang on, we were brothers. Now, you know, you're telling me what to do and you're not doing anything. So we often find that the case.
Yeah, it's interesting, eh?
Fun and games.
Fun and games. Just going back to RoofPod, with the clients, and say, how has the process been with those issues that you've had in previous models? Do you guys take those in and correct them to be up to date with the new ones, or how does that
we
work?
have a ethos with all of our clients that if we've done an upgrade that betters the pod, you're welcome to bring your pod in and we can do that upgrade. So for example, we used to do the latches on, if the frame is running like this at the back, the latches were in the middle at the back. And we used to have a throwover latch that was longer and it would get bent, because one of the amazing things about our pods is you can take it off your car and you can actually put it on the ground and drive off and leave your pod in camp. And so people would put them in, like, I think I've got a picture of a client who put it in their house for their nieces and nephews to sleep in because they didn't have an extra bed, you know. But they would bend, especially when people stored them in their garages or, you know, or transit, because it's that proud of the frame. Then we switched over to a very expensive like twist lock, and that with movement would actually pop off because it didn't have any closing. So it didn't work for the pod. So we just said to anybody, if you had any of those, bring it in. And we switched it to our side. We would re-weld them on, repowder coat your frame, and it's no cost to you. So you've then got the upgraded model on your pod and it leaves a good taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
So, anybody who's had issues or anything like that, the upgrades have bettered the tents, or they phoned me and just said, hey, I've just noticed this. I've gone, oh no, we made the change. Drop your pod off. Okay. Again, been easy because it's been in the Western Cape, most of our clients.
So if that was, say, like you said, in Australia, how do you now correct that?
How do you correct that, you know? Yeah. So we've been able to iron out all those sort of issues, or not even issues, just learning curves, I would probably say, because you think, hey, this will work. And then guys gone, hey, there's in Botswana and those roads are like this.
You mentioned previously that you don't do that much marketing, but you do as well, in a way. What else do you guys do besides like social media? We've
done a few shows. And again, it comes to budget, you know. So for us, I mean, I would love to do marketing. Like, I mean, if I could book you to do how-to videos, because we know that's lacking in our business, is like the professional, how to use a product, how to do this, you know, the audio, the sound. I mean, I know to take us from this level to this level. But you know,
I mean, exposure. I mean, that's marketing. So we would love our product to be physically out there in the world, in say in our country.
Magazines and marketing.
Yeah, not even magazines, but literally be in shopping mall, do activations in shopping centers with a vehicle in there, and people can walk past and touch and feel and climb in. The kids can climb in and that kind of thing. We'd love to just do that around the country.
But we haven't been able to. So what I've utilized is that we've lent tents to people who maybe are doing a show, because it adds, being something so different, it adds to their stand of their products. So for the first year and a half, we would send tents and happily come along with you if you had one of the shows you were doing and your vehicle, a tent was on your vehicle.
Okay.
So we got it out that way. Generally, if I've got a pod free and it's a weekend and somebody says they're going camping, I'm like, take it, because sitting stock is dead stock. So we've lent them out to people, sent them for trips. What else have we done?
I wouldn't say
Those
that.
outdoor shows.
Yes.
So we've
seen-
done the Beta Cake Net show. We did the Nampu show. But we haven't done that many because, again, you're putting in 7 to 10 grand a show just for the stand, and that's without anything else. So
just for interest, how have those been?
It depends on the show. We find that some shows were not so good and other shows very good. Okay. So we're learning now where to be of most impact and which shows to select as great shows.
Have there been more of them recently, or is
a lot more shows there have been.
And that's also like a post-COVID thing.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like I've noticed.
Yeah, there's definitely used to
another
be the
one,
getaway
another
show.
one. Yeah.
Okay. In the old days, we used to do all the flooring for them. It used to be the getaway show at
Lawrenceford
Estate, and that was the outdoor show.
Okay.
But there's definitely been, we did the air show.
Yeah, there's a new one that just
Last week.
Yes, I saw that one. I was like, I
the
didn't even
first
know it was
time.
happening.
Yeah, I was doing
that
conjunction with the SAA, South African Air Force,
Yes.
doing their display, and then they had an
It
outdoor
was windy
show.
that day. Yeah. I was also trying to do a shoot that day, and it was very windy.
It's not fun. I wasn't there, and Simon was like, he doesn't like to do the shows, and he was like, this is not fun.
Yeah, I was sick for 2 weeks after that one.
No shame. Yeah.
Yeah, so we haven't done as many, but there are a lot more shows. So it's just picking which ones are now right for us. And we've also learned sharing a stand, you don't get as much.
Yeah.
So do we rather pick one show that we do and you take the whole stand and we have RoofPod and people actually know what is there and all the products on offer versus, it's a tent on a vehicle at a stand. But you take what you can for the marketing.
Correct. We'd love to do more of them because, again, with the right shows, we found that there's a boost in sales, just 2 weeks or 3 weeks after the show.
Yeah, it just means people can come and touch, feel.
Yes.
But everybody always likes to get a special.
Yes.
And so you have, a show rate.
Yes.
And people jump onto that not just because they saw it, but because they know they're getting a preferred rate because they were at the show.
Yeah. And then on the social media side, that's been going well, organically, content with people reaching out through that.
Yeah, I would say. I think it comes up on a lot of people's feeds. And we don't have that big a Instagram audience. I think we're sitting at about 6,000 odd. So
that's good.
It's not bad. Yeah. I remember starting, I was like, if I could just get to 200.
Yeah.
Do 200. Then I was like, just get to 500. Get to 500. Then I'm like, could you imagine 1,000?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, no. We need to be in the 10s, 20s.
Yeah. But it's looked really good. And it seems like there's a lot of engagement on it, which is important. So people are commenting. And obviously all the content you're getting is from
all clients. But I think that's what made it very, very authentic is that people can see that it's not curated and, hey, I'm selling this product. This is the only pictures. These are people using the product.
Yeah.
And that really does make quite a change. And so it feels, when I get any feedback from anybody, it's been, I've loved the content because it feels authentic. I can see that it's truthful and not just beautiful stock photos, which there are gorgeous stock photos. But if that's all that's on there, it doesn't, people are like, well, why pick this? So I think we show the lifestyle on our Instagram page and the people's adventures and the trips they do. And so you see it, you're like, I want this.
Yeah. No, it's something that we feel quite passionate about, that way of doing marketing. And it's been such a thing to try and get some not existing clients, but when we approach new clients, you'd be like corporate-y clients. And they have so much potential in what they do. They can be like a massive, let's say a car brand company in South Africa, anyone. All their content is
exactly that.
It's just the nice photo that they did for the press release, and all the dealerships are posting the same one with the price per month. It's got no like soul behind it. I mean, every now and then they'll make a really nice like TV ad, which might grab the hearts of South Africans in some other way. But their social media is absolutely, it's so...
And you're like, there's so much potential. You've got such a cool product.
And then to try and sort of convince them,
Tell them we want their car with the RoofPod on a trip.
If you guys like shared more of other people's stuff, or if you were actually showing local content and not just the photos you got from Europe.
Yeah. And there's so much of
it. It takes a little bit of imagination, and that's where I think you would come in great with what you are.
Yeah, but it's the people don't see it. They're just like, no, but they don't see the value in it.
But again, because it's not their own personal
I'm
story.
Talking to a marketing person within the thing, and they're like, yeah, but we already do this. It's fine.
Yeah, it's enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they don't feel the story and the authenticity, because there's no heart, because it's just my job and my role.
Yeah.
And again, that's where we go. Like, I will always sell better than somebody buying on, because it's my heart and my soul in this.
Yeah. And I think what I'm probably going to learn soon, because I'm feeling like it's coming, that I maybe spend too much time on trying to convince people where there's value that they're not going to see, because they're not actually going to see it ever. Probably,
so now you need to be corporate and say, this is what I can do for your brand.
I'm like beating it at like a dead horse type of situation, where it's trying to find clients that are more aligned in that way.
Yeah, I think that's a choice you have to sort of make, like going, okay, well, am I choosing clients that are aligned in that way and I like to do the job? Or this could, if I just tweaked my thing and I could be a bit more of a money maker and I just do the corporate because that's the way. So like, or do you choose 3 clients like that who are then the money clients, and then the 5 clients which are your soul clients?
I mean, we definitely have those, like, this is just for the money clients. But then because I guess I'm...
But then you're like, but I can do so much more for you.
Whatever. I'm like, okay, but maybe I can create this change in these people.
I think that's how we sort of semi-feel with the RoofPod, because we're going, okay, well, when we first launched it, we had taken our kids out of school and traveled in Europe for 4 months, seeing how people like get in their car and they put their skis on their roof racks, and they got normal cars and you can park anywhere, and you can sleep the night in a lot of villages, and they cater for the overnight people in their vehicle in the town square or whatever. So we're like, the rooftop tent on the normal car. And you're like, that would be fab. But people don't know they can have a rooftop tent on a normal car, so they're not looking for it. So we got the overlanding guys going, but we want a bigger tent. And that's how we sort of diverted a bit, so you can answer the low-hanging fruit. But we're still like, there's a whole audience that can have rooftop tents.
Yeah, it's very, very, very frustrating again. How to market and pinpoint a certain market which you know would benefit from your product, but you just don't know how to reach them. And you have this other market which is established, who knows all about what you do and how you do it, but you want that market. And how to get to them is when there's no way forged. And you're kind of breaking ground. And you can always hope that, it's going to do a trickle down effect, from the core market that is really established, and then trickle over to the one that you really want.
Yes.
Yeah,
like
it's
the
a
Audi
challenge.
we did this weekend, Audi station wagon. You're like, how epic is that?
It looked so cool. It was a perfect vehicle for my tent. It was fantastic.
You're like, look, everybody's got.
I think they're the only Audi station wagon in 3.5 years that I've put a tent on. It's like,
we're like, but we designed it for you in the Subaru market.
Okay, last 2 questions. What advice would you give other South Africans who are thinking about bringing in, or they have an idea for a product and they want to create it and launch it in South Africa? What would you tell them? So they haven't begun yet. They have all these big ideas.
It's going to take a lot more of your heart and soul than you think, and a lot more of your time. I mean, Simon and I were like, we got a rooftop tent. We'll be able to camp and do trips and adventures. We are, every ounce of our time is put in there. You're working other jobs to fund it. Like, there's a lot of sacrifice. So it's not necessarily a rah-rah story. Like, be willing to sacrifice a lot.
I think it's about how passionate are you? How you got to ask yourself, am I prepared to go the mile? And sometimes the mile is longer than you might think. So if you think it's going to be, say you give yourself a time frame of, I'm going to launch this is going to be, 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, make it longer. And look at that goalpost and go, am I prepared? Do I have the drive to push there? And don't be surprised if it takes longer than that. and go, you know what? I'm in this. I'm in this with both hands, both feet, both legs, the whole bang toot. I'm doing this. You got to really go for it.
I think we had this conversation this week, and Simon was like, if I actually had the info before me of how much it would take from us to get to where we are now, he's like, I don't know if I would actually do it, because Simon's over 50, you suddenly go like, it's not a young man's game, you haven't got a lot of time. So how much time are you going to put in? And, and I remember this friend who had given us advice and who has a very, very successful overlanding business. And he said to us, sure, guys, if I have to be where you guys are now, he's like, I remember us doing that startup. And he's like, good luck. And we're like, but we've got such good.
Yeah, again, like, I was just going to say that. I was about to kind of preempt that. I said, you're going to get people giving you advice when you want to start up this business, whatever it might be. Listen to them. Just listen to them. Don't like take what they say as pinch of salt.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they're talking from experience. And bottom line is all businesses are very similar. And they're all going to have their own similar kind of hiccups and hurdles that you're going to need to overcome. So kind of just take what they say, with value and listen.
Yeah, but it does.
and then implement it into your game plan, implement it into your business plan. And, and be prepared to take advice, as much advice as you can. Talk to as many people as you can. Be humble.
And I think, this also comes down to having a product that you believe in, or that you actually like. Because if you are, say, oh, this looks like it could make a lot of money, and then in those times when you have hard times
and it's not,
and you don't like, or you don't believe in the product that you're offering, there's nothing to get you through that.
No, exactly. Yeah, where we've got something that we love anyway for ourselves, and I love the community, and so it carries you through that. And you're like,
because the hard times are guaranteed,
totally,
at some time or another.
And cash flow for a small business is a problem. That's our other one.
Yeah, particularly in our country, in South Africa. Yes, there is pockets of money out there that people that can help float businesses and drive them forward. But we're not in a first world country. I mean, say if we were born in the States, and we had one friend of a friend who had a very successful facility, they would pull us in there, they would help fund us. We would be a whole lot further than we are now. But because we're in South Africa, it's not as easy, because there isn't just as much financial base here to support businesses in their growth phases. There is stuff out there, and I'm still being educated, and I've got a long way to go in terms of understanding funding in our country. Whether it be from a government level or whether it be from private enterprises that support small businesses. I still have a lot to learn. I'd love to know more about it. But it's not easy.
And then you get people saying, take on a partner. Other people say, don't take on a partner, and then rather give away, don't give away. And you're like,
exactly. How do you do that kind of thing?
Like free money, no money, this, but
And there's a lot of advice that is a bit confusing out there. So as I say, listen to advice, but you got to do your homework.
The future plans for the roof.
Make lots of money.
No, we definitely, we have a look. We have a long way to go in terms of future plans. I'm excited. Focusing on the add-ons, I have this vision of a complete vehicle with everything that you need to get away, ticking all the boxes that we do: lightweight, ease of implementation, low cost as possible. Ticking all those boxes. There's this complete circle, and we haven't completed that circle by any sense of the word.
Let's just go through. We've got 3 tents. So we've got your solo, your cozy, your comfy. So we've got something for everyone. We haven't done the family pod yet, so that's hopefully sometime in the future, in the next little bit. We've got our awning. You can fully enclose it. We've got our lightweight table that slides under your pod. We've got our shower privacy cube. So we've launched basically the full product, so far the full product range. And from there, we now need to tweak a bit more and have more on offer, probably.
Yeah.
And my dream is to have it as not just this is the RoofPod product, but this is the RoofPod brand. So you've bought into the lifestyle of who we are, what it offers you. And then I'd just like to say, like, we're hoping to sow back next year into a company called Lessons in Conservation, because we believe we're sending people out into Africa. So how can we feed back into Africa and following their journey as they take a RoofPod up to Rwanda, which will be really lovely to watch and see Dean's story as he educates kids and communities on love of conservation. So we're going to be involved in that next year, and some fun things on the horizon.
Yeah, and we also would love to grow again this community in terms of community trips, outings. I have a heart for getting away more and less in the warehouse, so I want to be able to get out and just take the good people we have with us, excuse me, on more trips. There's a lot of places to see in our country is beautiful, and I have also two other things which I feel like we need to drive into, and one is creating employment. So I would love to be able to grow our facility to a point where we're creating more employment, and through tourism. As you're taking people out into our country, you're bringing a tourism into areas which are needing, fluidity of.
I think the base of who we are is we'd love to be a really ethical company that sows back into communities. And if we can do even the smallest little part of employing somebody who feeds his family to, giving somebody an adventure who gives them hope, or building relationships as father and sons get out there. And, so that's my heart for people. I think our heart for people. And so that's how we started these RoofPod road trips that we're now doing, where it's just fun adventure and good, clean, wholesome hope, if I could say it that way.
And awareness of the environmental. I mean, this is all about getting away from the city. And there's a sort of educating process in this where people need to be educated about the strain that our environment is under, and through that you can only really want to do something about your environment if you see its beauty, and again the strain on it. So by doing this, there's also an environmental thing that is tied into it. I think there's so many.
That's basically our personal hearts.
Yeah.
If people want to find you guys, how do they get hold of you? Where's your website? Instagram.
So our website is that's my email. hello@theroofpod if you want to email me. And our website is theroofpod.co.za, and Instagram is also the RoofPod. And it's the cell number is on the website for WhatsApping. You can send any questions. I'll send you videos. We're still very accessible with our clients at the moment.
Yeah, we're based in the southern suburbs, Cape Town.
In Retreat. So people can also, if they want to come see a product, we come through. Simon and I will always meet you there to show, to demo. We've always got a tent available for you to hop in. We'll pop it on the ground. It's all very interactive and quite fun.
Awesome. Well, just like, again, from my side, being outside, you guys have done a great job at marketing.
Thank you.
You guys have done really well in building the brand that you have, because I feel like, I know you said your goal is to build a brand if you already doing it.
Thank you.
And you're doing a great job, and well done. And thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us, Dylan.
Thank you very, very much for opening a door to us.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. There was something I forgot to say in the beginning as well. This was also the first time I've interviewed two people at the same time. So I had a bit of a different microphone setup, had to jerry rig my mic with one of my shotgun mics, as I don't have enough actually to interview three people. But I think it went very well. And just again, thank you so much to Simon and Tammy for being on. And if you guys want to go check out the RoofPod, I'll put their links in the description. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.